Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. So I did this last season where I had a list of the top 5 attackers and top 5 defenders, and I explained why I put them where they were on my list. So we're going to do the same thing for Steel Wave. So we're going to go into the top 5 attackers in this one, then top 5 defenders in the next one. If you didn't know this already, I'm starting a new series on the channel where I'm going to be trying to make the struggling players get a little bit better by watching their videos, pointing out what they could do differently, and hopefully doing follow-up videos. I know a lot of people were like, just go for it. I was hesitant on making this series since a lot of people are doing coach type series, but hopefully you guys will still enjoy it regardless. And if you want your video and gameplay to be featured, then go ahead and go down to the first link in the description. It will be a Google form. All you have to do is fill it out, post your YouTube link, and you will get going. So far, everyone has not been sending me full games, so I can't do them yet until people send me full gameplays. With that out of the way, hopefully you agree with my top 5 list. If you don't, tell me what you would change, and also give me your top 5 list down below. Without further ado, we're going to go into number 5. These are in no specific order, but I had to list them somehow, so number 5 is Jackal. It should come to no surprise that Jackal's on this list. He's banned quite often, and there's good reason for that. He is the best roam clear in the game, so pros are going to definitely ban him, and even pub stars are going to ban him as well. So not only does he have a really good loadout, C7E and a PDW, and then he has the shotgun backup, so he's very versatile on weapons. But his gadget, that is what really makes him overpowered. His gadget has an 8-meter range, and his scans last 20 seconds. He gets 3 of these scans, so literally he could take out a full minute of the round chasing one roaming operator. So basically all I can say here with Jackal is he is very, very overpowered, and he's going to stay on this list until he's not overpowered. Now, will they ever actually fix him? I don't think so. Maybe they could reduce the scan time down maybe to 15 seconds or so. But if they're going to nerf someone so hard like Lion, then they should really do the same for Jackal, as he has the same effect as being able to know exactly where an enemy is. It doesn't just give a range of where they are, it puts a pin on their location and lets you wallbang, do whatever you want, and it's really just unfair in general. So now we're going to go into number 4, which is another no-brainer, and that is Thatcher. So as we all know, Thatcher has the EMP grenades, which are very, very handy in basically any map, any situation, any objective. So Thatcher is a must pick for any team, really. There's really no alternative to Thatcher. There's Twitch, not really an alternative. There's Cali, getting there, but still a sniper rifle. So basically, if you don't have a Thatcher, your entry denial is going to be a huge problem for your team. There'll be no way to stop a bandit trigger. There'll be no way to even get through the bandits or mute or whatever it is. There's no way to do it without that, unless if you physically shoot it, but most times you cannot physically shoot the bandit charges. So basically, if you're gonna be picking Hibana, Thermite, or Ace, you're gonna want a Thatcher on the squad. Thatcher is the main support op. He should be picked basically every single attacking round. And just to put the icing on the cake, he has the L85A2, which is Sledge's gun, and he also has the AR33. Both have the ACOG attachment, and both are pretty solid guns. He also has a pretty good shotgun if you are a shotgun kind of person, with the M590A1. So mix a good gun with a great gadget and you get a really good operator that you need in every single round. So I might have only put Thatcher at number 4, but he's probably the most useful operator out of all 5 of these. And most of these operators actually rely on the operator Thatcher to get their jobs done. So now number 3, we're going to hop over to a fragging operator, and that is going to be Sophia. Now the reason Sophia is on this list and Ash is not is because of the 2 stun charges. She has the 2 impacts and the 2 stuns. It might not be a 3 speed, but having that extra armor, still being somewhat usable at speed, and actually kind of gets the advantage there by having 2 armor. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like I'm absolutely tanking bullets when I'm Sophia, and I can't say the same about Ash. So Sophia is really never a bad pick in any situation, and also usually needed in most teams. It's either Sophia or some other entry fragger, but Sophia in this meta is probably the best entry fragger, can destroy a lot of utility, can burn ADS, and has probably the best gun out of all the entry fraggers. I don't know, the R4C is really good, but the ACOG is the big advantage there with Sophia's gun. So between the M7 62 assault rifle and the RG15, also getting Claymore as well. There's a reason why she's picked in a lot of pro compositions. Some pro players that main her, for example, there's Bolo that mains her, so if that shows anything about an entry fragger, then there you go. Now the operator I didn't include over Sophia was IQ. IQ was up there, really up there, because not only does IQ have that support ability, also really good guns, especially with her LMG. So that was my notable entry there for Sophia at the number 3 position, but I had to pick Sophia over that. But you'll see why I picked the other 2 operators ahead of IQ instead of putting IQ in there and Sophia. So number 2 spot, this is going to go to Buck. In a game like Siege where you basically build the map every round just how you want to play it, Buck is the best because you can break anything that's soft. So you can break the floor, the ceiling, you can break down walls, you can do whatever you want, and you have a ton of shotgun shells. Not only that, you have probably one of my favorite guns. Now that I've learned the recoil of it, it can be pretty extreme at first, but the C8, either put a ACOG in muzzle or a hollow or muzzle, and you'll be able to handle that like a pro anytime. If you guys don't know or didn't watch my attachment video, then you would know that the muzzle does reduce vertical recoil, and that is what Buck struggles at a lot. Vertical recoil is pretty bad, horizontal's iffy, but it's not terrible. So depending on what you want, either a muzzle or a flash on Buck's gun and you'll be set. I'd also recommend putting a laser sight. I know it sounds weird to put a laser sight on anything, but Buck is the exception to the rule, and that's because the pellets seem to travel a little less widespread and more tight. Anytime I have the laser on versus off, the bullet spread is just way tighter whenever I have the laser sight on. So just because the shotgun, we're gonna have a laser sight as well. Not everyone's gonna just shine with Buck, and I know that because it really depends on the map, and it really depends on your map knowledge of every single map and every single bomb site. Really, you have to know what to destroy, and if not, then you just have a pretty decent gun and you have no advantage there with picking Buck. So there's no reason to pick Buck if you're able to actually like manipulate the map to how you want to play it. And that's why unfortunately a lot of newcomer players, a lot of lower ranked players, they don't really play Buck because they're scared to use it. C8's recoil, they think it's too aggressive or something along those lines, and then they just don't want to learn the map knowledge. They don't want to learn the map at all. But I'm telling you, if you learn Buck and you actually learn where to Buck, where the above and below and everything is on every single map, you're not going to regret it. I have videos on all of it. I have a vertical blade video on every single map on like every single bomb site that you can imagine. I also have my actual Buck video, which is pretty informational, especially on Clubhouse. It really specifies Clubhouse, but you'll get some cool lines of sight either way. I'd highly recommend that if you want to get into Buck. But we're going to go into number 1. Now this one, people are going to disagree because it's a battle of the hard breachers. Now you obviously know it's not going to be Hibana. I think Hibana got the biggest hit out of adding Ace to the game. Hibana now is really only good for hatches, and that's why Ace kind of goes above her in that standard, because he opens bigger holes on main walls, but his hatch ability is probably the worst of all 3. And then there's Thermite, of course, just the ultimate hard breacher at everything. Now the only thing with Thermite is he's been the top for a while now. He's always been the top really at hard breaching, and very well might still be it, but I'm tired of hearing Thermite, so I had to put Ace here at number 1. While Thermite has bigger and larger breaches, I just think Ace is a little bit more versatile. Not only that, he can open more walls, assuming they don't get bandit tricked. That's the only thing with Ace, is the bandit tricking is easier, and that's due to Ace's actual gadget just taking a little bit longer, but it does open a pretty sizable hole. Goes in 3 different tiers, and it's just pretty unique. So I think that's why Hibana is pretty irrelevant at this point for anything other than hatches. Walls, just don't even take her if it is going to be on a second story and you don't need hatches. Just take Ace or take Thermite. And to simply put it, I think Thermite and Ace both have better weapons as well, and Ace obviously comes out at top with the AK-12. The AK-12 is commonly known as the best weapon in the game, just by damage per second, fire rate, everything about the gun is just fantastic. Recoil is pretty controllable, and not only that, he gets the ACOG in any attachment basically you can imagine, so very customizable, ACOG or hollow. And this one, this number 1 spot could have went either way, thermite or ace, but it had to be one of them. You need a hard breacher on every single team. And I think this made up a pretty good composition of these top 5. So I bet if you run an ace, Thatcher, Sophia, a buck, and a Jackal, you have pretty much everything handled, from roam clearing to vertical play, all the way down to fragging, support, and then of course the hard breacher with ace. So that's my top 5 for Steel Wave. At any time this can change with a nerf or a buff, so if you're watching this in the future and there's a huge nerf, then it probably did change some of these. Now I can name off probably a bunch of notable entries here, but I'm just going to leave that to you guys in the comments to just comment who else you would add here if it were to be 6 or 7 players. Alright, so that's it for today. We're going to have Defenders out tomorrow, the next day, hopefully, depending on what goes out tomorrow. And if you want to play with me while I get these gameplays, I actually played with a bunch of people from my Discord server, so that's linked down below. We play casuals. I mean, I was playing with casuals because a lot of the players that joined up were copper, silver, gold, you know, just that range. So no matter what your skill range is, feel free to join that server. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic day and peace out.